Jesus Christ's Journey to Kerala, a spiritual transformation. My heart sought answers beyond the scrolls of the Torah. Stories of the fabled land of Ophir, known to my ancestors as a source of Solomon's wealth, beckoned me. Guided by a caravan of Jewish traders, I embarked on a journey that would lead me to the shores of Kerala, India, a land where the wisdom of the Vedas and the traditions of my Jewish forebears intertwined with the vibrant trade and spirituality of the East. When I first set foot in Maziris, modern-day Kodungallur, the air was filled with the aroma of spices, pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, and sandalwood. I was welcomed by the Jewish settlers who had thrived here since the time of King Solomon. They called themselves the Malabari Jews and spoke of their ancestors who had arrived centuries ago, drawn by the riches of the spice trade. Synagogue at Maziris. The Jewish settlers had built a small but vibrant synagogue near the bustling port. Here I met Rabbi Yosef, a wise elder who spoke of the Torah's interpretation in this distant land. He told me how the Jews here had adapted to the Indian way of life while preserving their faith. Traditions and trade. The Jewish traders explained their symbiotic relationship with the local rulers of Kerala, especially the Chera kings, who ensured their safety in exchange for their maritime expertise. They introduced me to the concept of Dharma, which echoed my understanding of divine law. My spiritual quest led me to the Brahmin priests of Kerala, who were eager to share their knowledge with a curious seeker. Under their guidance, I immersed myself in the Vedas and Upanishads. In the forests near Periyar, I stayed at the ashram of sage Agnivarma, a renowned Vedic scholar. He introduced me to the Rigveda and the concept of the cosmic order. He taught me that the pursuit of truth transcended all religions, a belief that profoundly influenced my teachings later. Debates on the nature of God. I participated in debates with Vedic scholars on the nature of Brahman, universal consciousness. These discussions clarified my understanding of the omnipresent and omnipotent God, which I later taught as the kingdom of heaven within. Practical wisdom of Ayurveda. During my stay, I learned the principles of Ayurveda, including herbal remedies and the philosophy of balancing the body, mind, and spirit. The knowledge of restoring life, known as Mrita Sanjeevani, left an indelible mark on me and was reflected in the miracles I performed later. In the village of Kodungallur, I trained in Kalaripayattu, the ancient martial art of Kerala, under the tutelage of Master Chandrakanthan. Learning the techniques. The training involved physical endurance, spiritual discipline, and an understanding of vital points in the human body. Master Chandrakanthan emphasized the importance of using this knowledge only for righteous purposes. Defending justice. This training came to my aid years later, when I overturned the tables of corrupt traders in the Temple of Jerusalem, demonstrating controlled strength to defend the sanctity of God's house. Defending justice. This training came to my aid years later, when I overturned the tables of corrupt traders in the Temple of Jerusalem, demonstrating controlled strength to defend the sanctity of God's house. Defending justice. This training came to my aid years later, when I overturned the tables of corrupt traders in the Temple of Jerusalem, demonstrating controlled strength to defend the sanctity of God's house. Deeper into Kerala's hinterlands, I met Siddhars, mystics who lived solitary lives in the dense forests, practicing tantra and meditation. The Siddhar tradition. The Siddhars shared their understanding of energy flow within the body and the universe. They taught me to meditate and align my breath, prana, with the cosmic energy, which gave me an unshakable calmness. Mystical experiences. These practices led to profound mystical experiences where I felt united with the divine, shaping my later teachings about the union between man and God. The influence of Jainism and Buddhism in Kerala introduced me to alternative philosophies of nonviolence, compassion, and mindfulness. Ahimsa and compassion. Jain monks in the region spoke of ahimsa, nonviolence, which resonated deeply with my vision of love and forgiveness. These ideas later became central to my ministry. Mindfulness and liberation. From Buddhist monks traveling through the Malabar coast, I learned about mindfulness and the concept of nirvana, which enriched my understanding of the kingdom of heaven as liberation from worldly suffering. From Buddhist monks traveling through the Malabar coast, I learned about mindfulness and the concept of nirvana, which enriched my understanding of the kingdom of heaven as liberation from worldly suffering. The people of Kerala, farmers, fishermen, and traders, welcomed me into their lives. Fishermen, naval warriors, and seafarers of Kerala. I spent months with the fishermen of Kerala, learning their skills and understanding their struggles. This knowledge influenced my later parables and my selection of fishermen as my disciples. Agricultural wisdom. Farmers taught me about the cyclical nature of life, which paralleled the Eastern philosophy of rebirth and renewal. These ideas shaped my teachings about sowing seeds of faith and reaping spiritual harvests. My time in Kerala was not merely about acquiring knowledge. It was about uniting the wisdom of East and West. The Jewish community, the Vedic gurus, and the ordinary people of Kerala instilled in me a vision of a universal brotherhood under one God. As I prepared to leave Kerala, my heart was heavy with gratitude. The elders of the Jewish community blessed me, and the Vedic gurus offered me their parting wisdom. Truth is one, paths are many. Armed with this knowledge, I returned to Judea to fulfill my mission, forever shaped by the spiritual treasures of Kerala. My journey to Kerala was the turning point in my life. It taught me that the divine could be found in the unity of all traditions, and it strengthened my resolve to bring this universal truth to my people. Kerala, with its rich blend of cultures and philosophies, became the crucible in which my faith was refined, preparing me for the spiritual revolution that would change the world.